welcome back to Trail Talk. I'm your host, Mike Morrison. One of the fondest memories I have of finding the Upper Charles Trail was first finding it when I came to town. When I first moved to Milford a few years ago, I had no idea it was here. And of course, when I did find it, I was amazed that we had such a complete and well-designed trail way out here in the burbs. I never would have thought. Well, now today, the Upper Charles Trail is pretty much well known to almost everybody in town. Well, what if you want to recapture that sense of joy, that sense of adventure you find when finding a new trail for the first time? Well, you're in luck, because there are many, many trails in the area that have unique experiences to offer. And here with me today to talk about those trails is local author and personal historian Marjorie Hollman. Marjorie, hi, thanks for being here today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, thanks so much. So tell me a bit about yourself. What do you do?
I'm a freelance writer and personal historian, so I help families get their family stories down in written form and into books. Because of that, I learned how to put books together.
Awesome.
And I have a website, marjorieturner.com, that I had some newspaper articles that I wrote some trails for I wrote the articles for the Bellingham Bulletin. Okay. Just because I didn't have any other place to put them, I threw them up on my personal history website, and almost daily I get people searching for local trails, places like Joe's Rock, places like Choate Pond in Medway, places that people heard of but they don't know how to get to.
They're not on a map anywhere.
There aren't a lot of maps, and people kept coming to my website, and I said, I think there's a market here. I knew how to put a book together, and so I started doing the research to make it into a full book. I've come up with this book, Easy Walks in Massachusetts.
We have a copy here.
And it's 30 trails in 10 towns that are right within, including, I wasn't going to leave out Milford by any means.
Absolutely not, no.
And so it's walkable trails, they're public access, they're all, there's some better marked than others, but I give you an idea of how to find them. I give them directions, trail length, trail conditions, something special about each trail, and then I have a picture of each trail for each little section. That's the book, is basically how do you find them. So it's a trail guide, but they're easy walks. I don't go on really hard walks. Every trail, every walk I take is an easy walk.
Not climbing mountains here.
I don't climb mountains.
No mountain biking.
Well, I do bike with my tandem bike with my husband, and so I love rail trails.
Awesome.
And so we come to the Milford Bike Trail often, and it was very exciting to discover the construction going on in that middle link.
That's true, the missing link, as we call it.
The missing link. Yeah. And we actually rode on our tandem where it was under construction. You said there's even more has gotten done since we were on it. Yes,
I think we have some pictures of it actually, where it's the section by Friendly's on Route 109 in Milford.
Yes.
So there's obviously the Friendly's trail sign. And then over there in that dugout section right there is where they're planning to put the Upper Charles Trail, the extension of it from 109, because there was that stub end there at 109.
Right.
And now they're going beyond the parking lot and down Veterans Memorial Drive towards Hayward Street.
It's really pretty back in there.
It.
There are stone walls, there's amazing rocks. You see, I grew up in South Florida where it's very flat, very few rocks, a lot of sand. And when I came to New England for college, I just fell in love. I came up here because I wanted to make sure I saw snow. I had never seen snow, 17 years
Florida,
of age,
and
I'd never seen snow, and I wanted to make sure I saw snow, and I've never left.
That's
I came up here, stayed, fell in love with the New England landscape, and I've never gotten tired of the New England rocks.
It's very
and
different.
There's some very cool rocks in that new section, some nice sections of stone wall that are through there too, these old farm fields that were marked by walls.
And now it's all torn
They're all grown up into woods. You would never know there were fields.
You would never know that there were houses there
Right.
or farmhouses or
Yep,
fields
every
or
now
anything.
and then you'll find little sections of basements that are stone basements that are just foundation walls.
That's right.
That
That's right.
you'll find them in the middle of the woods, or that you're walking along a trail and there it is. It's really amazing.
Yeah, I know, and there's plenty of that on the new section. In fact, the pictures that we had on screen just a minute ago, even those are out of date now. I believe that section of trail has been paved.
Yep.
I don't know if it's a finished
Yeah,
trail
right
yet.
there. Yeah, that's
Yes,
already.
that's part of that is paved already. I don't know how much, because it's an ongoing thing, and definitely not finished yet. But it is definitely cleared out, and those pictures you took were maybe a few weeks ago?
They were just a few weeks ago.
Just a few weeks ago, so
Yeah.
definitely
Within the last
progress.
month.
And so we're still on target, hopefully, for an October
That would be-
2014 grand opening.
That would be very exciting.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So at least that's the Milford Trail. What got you inspired to write about trails in the first place?
Specifically for this book and this area, I married about 8 years ago. My husband was in.
Congratulations.
Thank you. He was in the Acton area, and he
Okay.
moved here to where I live in Bellingham. And he said, "Where are all the trails? You know, you must not have any conservation land around here." I said, "I think we do," and it became a quest to look for trails
right.
that were close by, so that when it was after dinner and we just wanted to go for a quick walk somewhere, or we'd been working on the house all morning and just wanted to go someplace for the afternoon, or the weather was a little iffy and we didn't want to drive a long ways and wanted to just be close by,
Right.
we started looking, and some of it we just drove around. Some of it I just kept my ears open. And some of it I was able on a very few town conservation websites, Rentham and Franklin particularly, have had some really good things. Milford, Franklin, in fact, had a little ebook put together by Mike Tugias.
Okay.
But it was 12 years old, so it's out of date.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
it still
Things
gave
have
me
moved on.
clues to be able to go and find the trails and
Yeah.
figure out where they were and document what the present conditions were.
Right.
Rentham had a similar PDF online, and then they ran into legal problems with one of the maps on their
no.
I know.
Oh no.
And they got sued.
Copyrights or something.
They got sued because
Oh.
it showed that it went on private property.
Oh, yeah.
So, oh my goodness. So, so this book does not actually have maps. It tells you how to get there, but I don't have any maps. That is maybe down the line. It's a lot more
Okay.
work to get maps, and there are a lot more legal implications
Invent them, make
in
sure that
publishing maps.
Yeah. That's like
So-
as you said, make sure that they're not
Oh.
copyrighted and that
Oh,
doesn't
I
show
know.
private land,
I
amongst
know.
many other things, I'm sure.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I tell you trail conditions,
Okay.
tell you the trail approximate length, and I use tools like Google Maps that I knew about where the trails were, and I was able to pretty well approximate where the walking distances were to give you an idea. Well, is this an all-day map? Is this an all-day walk? None of these walks are all-day walks. They're an hour or two, depending
Okay.
on how slow you and your children or grandchildren are. It's
No,
a
but-
place to. It's a book that I'm hoping parents and grandparents will use,
Yeah.
who want to take their families and spend time together in the outdoors.
Yeah.
And find someplace different that maybe is a little interesting. There's so many wonderful places we have in this area. We have ponds, we've
Right.
got streams, we've got rivers, we've got lakes, we've got we don't have the mountains, but we have a very few places that have fantastic views. We've got the Blackstone River Heritage Corridor. So there's the towpath with the Blackstone Canal, which combines history and all the marvelous history of this area,
the industry, yeah.
industrial history,
Yeah.
which produced all sorts of dams on these streams.
Yeah,
Some of them are
yeah.
getting dismantled now. And yes, here's the Blackstone River look
Yeah,
at how
with
the trail
new
is.
bikeway that they put in.
It's just fabulous.
It's
What's
beautiful,
nice about
yes.
that bikeway is next to no grade crossings.
Yes.
You hardly have to cross a street.
And that's actually quite rare in America, is
It-
to find actually grade separated crossings like that,
Right.
that's something you need to go to like the Netherlands to find equivalents.
No, this is
Yeah,
this is
to find this here is incredible.
and being able to be this close to the river, you see
It's
water
beautiful
birds.
views.
You've got views.
Yeah.
Back to the towpath in Riverbend Farm in Uxbridge, there's a towpath that goes right along. You've got stonework with old bridges that were built close to 200 years ago. They're just
Wow.
this is a
Yeah.
testament to our immigrant past with the Irish immigrants of
Yeah.
the early 1820s. The canal was built between 1820s and 1840s. Sadly,
time
it was
ago,
inspired
yeah.
by the Erie Canal, and they made so much money with the Erie Canal
They
that
wanted to-
developers
Hey.
here said, we're going to make some money. They built this wonderful canal,
Yep.
finished it
Yep.
in, I think it was 1842, and in 1844 the railroads came through and put them out of business,
Yeah.
completely out of business.
Yep.
And it just
March of progress.
it became forgotten. And when you realize we're in 2014, we're coming on close to 200 years when that was started, which
And
is
it's
just
still there.
remarkable.
It's still
It is.
there.
There are remnants of it that are still there.
If you look.
And the Blackstone Valley Heritage Corridor has developed sections of it. If you go to the Riverbend Farm in Uxbridge, there's a very accessible section
Yeah.
of it. Not far from there, and part of the trail system along the Blackstone River, you come to Lookout Rock. Yes, see the stonework?
That's
Isn't
a
that
beautiful stone bridge, yeah.
perfect place for a picture setting if you need to make a portrait?
Perfect place to have a little picnic too.
It really is. There's picnic tables, yes.
Yeah.
And this is the towpath, which it's bikeable. It's really
gravel
it is.
surface?
It's a gravel, hard packed surface.
Okay, that's good.
It is. Very steep slopes with no fencing there, so I caution parents with young children to hang on to your kids because it's a very
They
steep
tend
slope.
to dart off in different directions. And,
You want to hold on to your
Yeah.
kids. You don't want to try to scramble up the
Definitely.
embankment. It's really quite steep.
and definitely make sure they can ride in a straight line, or if they're walking, hold their hand, something
Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah, but there's a number of trails there, and then going up from Rice City Pond, which is right in this vicinity, if you'd follow the banks of the Blackstone River, if you follow the banks of that east side of the river, it takes you up to Lookout Rock, and you get a view of the
Beautiful view of the
entire
whole valley.
Blackstone Valley. And
That's
and
it
there's
right
the
there.
river. That's it. It's just gorgeous. That's looking
beautiful view.
south on the Blackstone Valley.
Yeah.
And you can either walk all the way up the Blackstone River from Rice City Pond, it's about a mile walk, or there is a parking lot about a quarter mile
Quarter mile
from
away.
Lookout Rock, and it's a very easy walk there.
I would hope, yeah.
So depending on,
Yeah.
but you don't have to scramble up a hillside. You don't have large rocks. The one,
Okay.
you do have to kind of crab walk up the rock to get to where the view is.
Okay, so it's
So-
not like a paved surface or anything walking.
No, but it's a
Okay.
walking trail. It is a walking
Okay,
trail.
Okay.
And just the very rock itself to get up to where you can see is a little
Awesome.
bit of a clamber up the rock.
Awesome.
But most of us can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I hope so, yeah.
So
So what got you inspired to start writing about trails in the first place? Because it sounded like the whole idea for this book came from a series of articles you wrote for the newspaper.
I'm a writer I write for the Bellingham Bulletin. I write for the local town pages that covers places like Franklin, Medway, Millis, Norwood, those
Okay.
directions. And so I'm always looking for things to write about.
Yeah.
I don't really know what got me to, it was sort of, I was looking for something
to
else
know.
to do and said, what else? Because I don't just wait for people to come to me and say, here's an assignment, please write.
Right.
I'm always
Always
on the
looking for
lookout
something.
for, and this area is, we're just so lucky.
Yeah.
We're so lucky. So, one of my very favorite places that I've visited
Yeah.
since, gosh, there back when it was just a little street, there was no parking or anything, is the Blackstone Gorge. That's another thing that your federal tax dollars and mine have helped pay for is the Blackstone Valley Heritage Card. It's been in existence for about 30 some years, and yes, that's the Blackstone Gorge, isn't it?
That's beautiful.
And you can climb a path along the river that gets you up about 80 feet above the river. And you go from this little tiny neighborhood in Blackstone with little chain link fences, and it's a little tiny neighborhood, and you park at the parking lot there at the end of, I think it's County Street, and walk to the river, and then walk along the trail, and within minutes, I feel, my husband says, no, it isn't, but I feel like I'm in the Kankamankos Gorge in New Hampshire because it's rushing water that just doesn't stop year-round. It's just this really narrow path of water, so it's this noisy, noisy river. And you get up to you're in the treetops, and you're looking across the river to the treetops on the other side, that it's all trees.
Wow.
There's no houses on that side. There's no houses in sight along this whole section of the river.
Wow.
It's not far from where the houses are, but it feels like it.
The view is just such that you can't see them directly in your line of sight. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds beautiful. I can't wait to see it myself.
Oh, you haven't been there?
I have not.
Oh,
I
yes.
have not.
Oh, yes.
Haven't ventured out that way just
Oh,
yet.
yeah. Just north of the gorge, there's a dam. I'm not sure if I gave you a picture of the pond area that the dam makes it so a very still area. Well, there's West Hill Dam.
Yeah.
And that's an Army Corps of Engineers property.
Ah.
And so that's another place, horseback riding, people ride bikes through there. Great place for dogs to walk. There's a swimming area.
Yep.
But what I was also thinking is right at the Blackstone Gorge, where the dam is, right beyond the dam, there's a very quiet stretch of the Blackstone River that there's a boat launch.
Yes.
Also right at the Blackstone Gorge. Be careful you don't go over the dam, especially as you're coming back. But, you know, so I tell people if there's some boat launches where there's kayaks, and I try to give you information.
And go for a bit of a ride. Yeah.
It's not a kayaking book. It's not a kayaking canoeing book.
Okay.
It's not a biking book. Those are sort of multi-purpose. They're multi-purpose places that you can do all of those things.
Yeah.
But the theme of the book is, can I go?
What ties it all together?
What ties it all together is that it's an easy walk.
Right.
All of these trails are easy walks that are short in distance. There's one trail over in Medway that is right by the police station that the Cub Scouts made into a gravel path. Well, it's maybe 50 yards long, but it gives you an access to the Charles River.
Oh.
And since we're very aware of the Charles River here in Milford, because it goes right along the, and that's Oak Grove Farm in Millis. This is another spot in Millis.
Yeah.
There's just wonderful places. But we're really aware of the Charles River here in town. Echo Lake is right over the border in Hopkinton. And right from the Milford Rail Trail, you can see the stream coming along. And when I was just along the Hopkinton end of the trail, the river goes right under from Echo Lake. It still goes right under the trail on that Hopkinton section of the trail.
Yeah.
Right where all those where that stone bridge section,
Or
those
the
stone
old rail
abutments.
line that was there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Beautiful
all
section.
little hints of the Charles River, teeny hints.
Mixed in with little hints of the industry that was there in years
It
past.
is. And this is the Charles in Milford, and Millis.
Millis.
That's Cedar River. It's another trustees of the reservation. The issue with all of these properties is they have so many different people who are in charge of them. It's not just one. You can't just go to one conservation commission and say, okay, now I've got them all. You can't go to just the Audubon website and say, okay, they've covered them all. Trustees of the reservation have a few more. There's Metacomet Land Trust. They've got the Blackstone River, the Daniels Farm.
Okay.
And I'm not sure about how many other properties. I need to look more into that.
Any other entities that would
They've got
list
more
the
in this
various
area, but I'm
trails
not, yeah.
Okay,
But
okay.
see, all of them have websites and they all list properties, but there's no one that tells you, all right, I'm in this town, what's there?
Yeah, you almost like an index of sorts. You want to
That's
know
right.
everything that's in a particular town, or maybe if you want a wider picture.
Right.
You get pieces of the picture, like
Exactly.
this organization has a list, and this other one has another list, and maybe
Right.
there's some overlap, maybe there isn't.
And that's where I wanted to make a central location that
That's great.
all you do is keep this book in your car when you're driving around, when you live in this area, and that's what you got. One other thing I found people were really interested in, the book has little icons that show you what services are there, whether there's bathrooms, whether there's a boat launch, but I also put in whether dogs were welcome.
Oh, that's great.
And I'm finding
Yeah.
that people who walk dogs are always looking for places to walk.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I have found some real success selling the book to places that cater to dogs, dog owners.
Exactly, because dogs need to be walked every day, and
Right,
in
and-
many places, depending on where you live, there may not be any safe place to walk. If you're
That's
walking
right.
down a
Or they're not
narrow-
welcome.
Or they're not welcome. That's true, because many roads are pretty narrow, and you don't really have much room on the shoulder to walk. There's no
If you
sidewalk.
if you go to an Audubon sanctuary, do
Yeah.
not take your dog.
No
They
dogs
are-
allowed.
No dogs
No
ever
dogs allowed.
ever invited at Audubon sanctuaries.
Well, that's
so
another
Stony
public
Brook
service.
Stony Brook in Norfolk, don't take your dog there. They are not welcome.
Okay.
Trustees of the reservation, they welcome 2 dogs per adult.
2 dogs per adult.
2 dogs
Okay.
per adult.
I just thought you were going to say 2 dogs, period.
No, if you have another grown-up, that grown-up can also walk 2 dogs.
Also walk 2
But
dogs.
if you've got 3
Kids don't
dogs,
count.
make sure you got another adult with you.
Okay.
That's, they're trying to keep animals
Yeah.
under control in consideration for those of us that don't do as well when dogs jump on us and other misbehaving dog behavior
Yeah, and
that happens.
because like dogs also, they need to be walked well, they also have to go to the bathroom, and that means they need to be managed as well, because you don't want to leave their stuff behind on the trail for
What
other
I
people to
really,
find. It's
what
not
I
to
really,
yeah.
you're friends of that you're a friend of the Milford Trail.
Yes.
What I really am appreciative and grateful for is I see those little things with the plastic bags for poop.
The doggy pot. Yeah.
Yes, but
Yeah.
you keep them stocked.
It's
you make
one of the
sure that
services
they.
we supply, yeah.
I mean, you're not just saying we're friends, we like it. You're actively involved in
We do
making
what we can.
it
Yeah.
a really usable and workable trail for everyone.
You know, it happens to everybody. You can walk out of the house thinking, I gotta walk the dog. Well, you have the dog, you have the leash. I hope you have a leash.
Right.
And then you walk out, and then he makes a mess, and oh, I forgot to bring a bag. What do I do? Oh, I'll just leave it there. Well, fortunately, we have these stations where you can grab bags with you, and hopefully you're responsible enough to bag it and throw it in the trash.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
It keeps the watershed safe from all of the contaminants that could flood into it.
Right.
You know.
I wanted to make sure I talked a little bit about 1 or 2 other places because it's a little bit more off the beaten path from Milford. But people are often saying, well, we don't have the mountains, we don't have the views. Where do you go look in the fall for pretty
Like the
views?
foliage, yeah.
And Wrentham has, besides Lookout Rock for the Blackstone Valley, this is the view from Joe's Rock. And you're looking off into Cumberland, Rhode Island.
Wow.
And there's a remarkable view. There's actually the Diamond Hill that isn't in the book. Diamond Hill State Park in Cumberland also has some really nice views. But this looks right in the direction of Cumberland.
Wow.
The direction of Cumberland State Park. And
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then probably my favorite that I never had heard of until I went and did the research for this book is called Nuckup Hill in Wrentham.
I can honestly say I've never heard of that myself.
I know. It's right, the little steeple you see in the distance, that's
Oh,
Route
wow.
140 and 1A in Wrentham Center.
Isn't that quintessential New England, though? You have
It-
your white
it
church
is.
steeple, you have your foliage surrounding you, and then if it was fall, beautiful colors as
And
well.
if you looked in the far right corner, which I didn't take the picture right, probably it wasn't a clear enough day, you
Okay.
can see the buildings of Boston.
Really? I
Yeah.
thought you had to get closer to like
Nope.
the Blue Hills for
Nope.
that. No, really?
Right in Rentham.
Rentham.
Isn't
I
that
didn't think there was
remarkable?
anything tall
Nuck
enough.
uphill.
Wow. Nuck Uphill.
Nuck Uphill.
I'll be sure to put that on my summer to-do list.
It's a very easy walk, but there's no good signs.
As
The
always,
locals
that's
know
the
it.
problem.
It was on the
Yeah.
Rentham Conservation PDF that they've now taken down.
They've taken for the
It's
legal
not,
issues.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
not accessible online anymore.
Oh, that's a shame.
But it's in my book.
At least the directions are.
The directions are, you park at the Rentham Senior Center on Taunton Street,
Okay.
or you can drive on into the DPW, which is a little further on that same road, right
Okay.
behind the senior center. And there's a fire road that takes you directly up to the top of the hill.
And these are all roads that allow public access?
Absolutely.
Because you don't want to run afoul of those legal
No,
issues
no.
either.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Yep.
Oh, great. Well, thank you so much for this.
Oh, you're welcome. Well, I hope you enjoy it.
Yes, I hope so too. I mean, just based on the number of trails that you've documented, it seems like this is the first time anyone's ever done this sort of work in this area.
I looked, and that was part of, I researched the literature first and said,
Yeah.
what else is out here? And Mike Tugias has done some wonderful books about this area, but I felt like I could do something a little more intensely local.
Yes.
And that's what I came up with.
Yeah.
And the book is available on Amazon.
Yeah.
The book is available at the Bellingham Library, at VetMed in Franklin, the pet supply store.
Okay.
I'm trying to remember, there's a few other, the town hall in Bellingham,
Okay.
Medway Library
Soon
has
to be
copies.
the Milford Town Library, I hope?
I hope so.
Hope so.
I hope they have
Okay.
a copy of the book.
Okay.
And we're in
Okay.
discussion with the Friends. I hope to do a slideshow presentation in Milford this fall. There, we just have to, I'm getting to libraries as we go
Yeah.
along.
Yeah.
And we're still in conversation to set up a date for that.
Well, great.
All right.
Have any other stories that you might have, like from walking the trails? It seems like you've done an incredible amount since
I've
you started
walked
this
every single
project.
one of those
Every
30
single
trails.
one.
Yes, I have.
Every single one.
Multiple times. Multiple times. It's just every time. I'm working on a new book now that it will be more easy walks in South Central Massachusetts. But
Okay.
I have a website, or actually a Facebook page. So if you like easy walks in Massachusetts on Facebook, you can share. You can see, because I document wherever we go now. Wherever I go is an
Wherever
easy
you
walk.
go.
And we've got the ocean an hour away.
That's right.
It's just
Yeah.
not that far. And
You've got the mountains of New Hampshire, roughly 2 hours away, 2.5 maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you've got Maine further north. You've got the hills of Berkshire's out west. So
Right.
yeah, we're in a good position.
but there's an awful lot right nearby.
There is a lot of plenty easy walks.
Yeah.
Well, Marjorie, thanks for being out here today. Thanks
Thank
for
you,
coming out.
Mike. Thank you so much
Yeah.
for inviting me.
Yeah. So that about does it. Well, thank you for coming over, and thanks for tuning in. I hope you enjoy these walks on your next adventure.